and we will be giving a presentation on the case study on Bicaster Village. So starting out with some background history of Bicaster Village, they were originally founded in 1995 and started out as a value retailer. They rebranded into Bicaster Village Shopping Collection and have now become the world's leading luxury retailers. They are now 1.2 miles long and include 160 outlet units. Due to their strong financial performances, Bicaster Village has been able to expand extremely rapidly. The average consumer spends around 438 euros and also stays at the village for roughly 4 hours. In 2012, they became the most productive shopping location in the world. Bicaster has their own train as well as a partnership with brands within the village that they offer. Moving on to the expansion in China. So Chinese shoppers account for 25% of luxury spending around the world. Bicaster Village has become the second most visited location in the UK by the Chinese. Unfortunately, the UK's visa rules have limited Chinese tourist numbers and spending. Once the Suzhou village opened in 2014, it gave Italians inspiration with Chinese elements. Then in 2016, they opened Shangha Village at Disneyland. This resulted in rapid growth of the designers' outlets. Moving on to designer outlets in Europe. So in Europe, designer brands are becoming more and more normalized. Due to this, 1,123 stores have disappeared from Britain's top 500 high street stores in 2018. 2010 was actually the last time there was an incline in the number of high street stores. Now, today, 14 stores are closing on average. Moving on to business approaches and practices. So a business concept is how you plan to make your business successful. And there have been key things we have discovered to meet shoppers' expectations. One of them, and most importantly, being to keep up with trends and also just being willing to adapt and to be constantly developing something new. The location is of the utmost importance as well, and adding the train station has really helped to attract consumers all around the world. Continuing on with business approaches, some helpful practices have been having strict policies with their different brands and also other facilities. Also, being actively involved with the brands has helped to contribute to their major success in the market. Moving on to the target market, previous luxury norms have really become less relevant today. This is due to concerns with falling sales, falling margins, increased competition, and slow global growth. The three main issues that brands need to focus on is overexposure. This will ensure that they are not spreading their focus too thin, harmonization, and also just the overall customer experience. Brands really need to emphasize on their individualization. Continuing on with the target market, luxury brands need to make a strong move into digitalization. In the past, luxury brands have been focused on exclusivity, which has resulted in minimal online presence. Today, more than 60% of luxury goods sales are digitally influenced. Online orders now and in-store pickup is predicted to boost in-store sales. Ages 25 to 44 make up for 64% of the overall audience, which is Generation Z and Millennials. And there are three main ways to cultivate an exclusive brand image and in return really openly attract the target market by providing new opportunities and experiences, long-term investments, and also they must market to a particular lifestyle. Moving on to the international target market, some emerging markets that we've been focusing on have been Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And this is because the spending habit per consumer has increased 70%. Focusing more on the Russian consumer, the consumers want balance between tradition, modesty, and wealth. And also, the Russian consumer is known to spend more on an item than it's worth to boast their wealth. Focusing on the Brazil consumer, many foreign trade regulations are prevalent in Brazil. They are rich in natural resources such as diamonds and stones. But in Brazil, the apparel industry is untapped because they produce majority of their apparel internally. Continuing on to the Chinese market, they are driven by logo strategy. We have seen exponential growth in the luxury industry there. This is because consumers will purchase luxury items regardless of price in order to feel satisfaction. And then moving on to the consumer in India, consumers are very value conscious and they're looking for certain aesthetics. They're wanting more customizable items or items that fit their specific needs and wants. They also really value craftsmanship and company value. So, moving on to the millennial characteristics in this kind of new consumer and what they desire. So, the millennial consumer, they live in the moment and are more impulsive. Most purchases come from their smartphones. They aren't as concerned about privacy and they enjoy having things tailored to their needs. They are also the most brand loyal generation. Some things that we need to be doing to attract this consumer is pushing high-end sneakers, more casual streetwear. Collaborations between labels have also increased and is something to look out for. And also, sustainability is one of millennials' top priorities. Moving on to more of the advertising to millennials and more of their characteristics. So, millennials feel the need to be involved in their everyday lives. They are more likely to skip commercials and advertisements. They are known to be unauthentic, and this has resulted in an increase in personalized content. 30% of consumers in this market rely on blogs and influencers to tell them where to purchase items from. They also really look for bargains, and they are the most price sensitive generation group, and they have a very significant online presence. So, moving on to why we think expansion to China is important. So, a large portion of the business that the village receives comes from Chinese tourists. Like I said before, approximately 25%. The foot traffic and exposure is very important to the shopping center, and China is one of the biggest growing markets in the world. They are the largest exporter of textiles, and this would give the shopping center many advantages. Producing and staying within China helps to eliminate some trade duty. Also, the Chinese market is primarily focused on fast fashion, which could be the only potential roadblock in this plan to expand to China. So, just a few other potential concerns expanding to China would be with previous existing designer brands. China's market saw the largest amount of designer brands in the Asian market. Shanghai has 5 designer brand shopping centers, but we really think that China would still be able to flourish because Bicaster differs from the other designer stores. It is a lifestyle experience and it's really a destination. The stores will be supported a lot by foot traffic here. So here are a few things we recommend when expanding to China is they must continue to promote the village to keep majority market shares. They also need to make sure they are utilizing the popular Chinese internet platforms, and also with that, realizing that influencers have a huge impact on the industry overall. Also, adapting and aligning with their brand with the local Chinese culture and taste will really help to ensure that they will flourish in China.